Hello. So I'm going to sketch this today, but hopefully show you what I'm doing. If I can get this camera right. So I'm just going to get a little border on here. Hello. Alt HD. So I just thought I'd spend a little bit of time this afternoon with a little sketch, little live sketch by Cassandra. Just going to take off because I do like to have a border on my work for some reason. I don't always put a border on, but in this sketchbook, like that one hasn't got a border, so I don't always use a border. Did on that one. This one got a bit messy, as you can see. Did on this one, so you get a nice neat line. You see when you use a border. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not on location, but I have, and I might go over 2 pages like this. I don't know. Oh, okay. Who's that? Oh, okay. Going to paint an abstract while watching. Good. I don't know if everyone else can see comments or not. It's a bit awkward because the camera sits right in front of my screen. So if I do that, I'm just going to work off that. You see, that is a little pink house that is. Where is it? It's right by Trellissick Gardens National Trust, and it goes across the river. There's a ferry that goes across the river to the other side on the Rosen Peninsula down in Cornwall. And this is obviously where all the cars are asked to stop because the road gets a bit narrow here. And as they come off the ferry, it's a sharp bend and they come up the hill. So that's like the queuing point. That's a cute little pink cottage. I might change the perspective a little bit. It's obviously on a downhill slope and I've got some perspective. I don't know. I'll see what happens. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm nearly finished this sketchbook. So I'm hoping that I can finish the sketchbook as well. So if there's any questions, just ask away. I'll try and look up occasionally and answer them. You have to show me your abstract while you're painting. Or when you're finished, obviously, when you've posted. I'm just going to talk through what I'm looking at. I don't know if anyone will get any help from this, but, a little bit of talking. I had music on last time and found it interrupted the stream quite a lot. So I'm not going to put music on this time. So what I'm doing here, I'm just looking at the angles for the perspective. But actually, I might cut some of this stuff out. This is a 2H. I want to get the chimney because the chimney's cut off this picture. So So first of all, I'll start by just getting some rough pencil lines. I quite like the yellow box hatch in here, so I'm going to make sure I get that in. And I don't. I'm going to have to make this smaller if I want to get the chimney in. Don't know how good the don't know how good the stream is and the quality of what you can see on the paper. Perhaps somebody can tell me. Never quite sure whether whether this tech works or not. Really, I don't watch many streams myself. I'll try and get some sort of accuracy going on. The roof line on this one is ever so slightly different with the angle. I love quirky little cottages and angles and things like that. I've just about got the chimney in at the top there. My family's chat is going a bit wappy now in WhatsApp. So I hope you can see what's going on here. So I've got some rough pencil marks, guides on there, and I think I'm happy with what's going on there with the perspective. See, I quite like that little pathway. I quite like the gas bottle, but I'm running out. I'm only in a 7x5 sketchbook, so it's actually quite small. But I also like the big sign, so that is definitely going in. I love the way it's resting on a cone. Just show you the picture again. So look at that. There's a cone set there. It's obviously, it probably used to have another section to it that's been run over probably. But you see, I like this gas bottle here as well, but I'm sort of running out of space. But you see, what I like about this picture is that I just like the accent colours I'll be able to use here. A little cone showing. And I obviously like the yellow box junction, the worn out yellow box. Let's just get this porch in the right place, roughly the right perspective. More importantly, the right size. It's very easy to lose your sizing when you're trying to make something smaller. I find anyway. I'll probably switch to pen in a minute. Or I might just go in with some watercolour first. But I quite like the flowers as well. So that's going to come out here. And there's a couple of windows on this one. So depending, sometimes, I mean, I spoke about it in one of my newsletters. Sometimes I decide to go with ink first. So I'm just going to move this slightly. I think I've made it slightly too big in the wrong place. Sometimes I go with ink first. Sometimes I go with watercolour first. In fact, I've done it well too big, really, in comparison to the house. So I've just noticed the window on the picture is nowhere near the sign. And these are the little things that, I mean, I don't get too hung up about them, but they bother me a little bit. I try and get some accuracy. So sometimes I try for more accuracy. I think that one was fairly accurate. That one was. See, I'll put the paint on first on this one. Put the paint on first on that one as well. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask. Make sure I've got all the stuff in the right place. The pathway goes to the corner of the house here. Do like a curb as well. Curbs are good to make a bit wonky. So this is how you would loosen up your sketching practice. So I'm going to go in with my Lamy, I think, because the ink I've got in here is water soluble. So I will end up losing the line a little bit, and then I might go over it with my Micron or the Food. They're the three pens that I use. The Food has got permanent ink in, and obviously the Micron is permanent as well, and this isn't. So let's see. I'm just checking my angles again just before I get the pen out. Sometimes you miss something when you're doing this, and then, I mean, it's not a big deal because that's all part of the fun with this type of drawing. It's just not getting too hung up about the detail. So I'm holding the pen quite loosely. Just make sure I've got some ink flow. Yeah. I'm holding the pen quite loosely because I don't want to be too accurate with this. As you can see there, I've just nudged my arm. So I'll sort of get the basic shapes in, and then I will rub out some of the pencil lines. Sometimes I purposely will put a little wiggle in like that, because you'll see on a finished sketch, it actually just adds a little bit to it, I think. But remember, all this ink will move if it gets touched with water. So there's plenty of plants in this picture. I'll just show. I've got a new. Somebody else has joined, so I'll just show you the picture I'm working from again. It's down at King Harry Ferry in Cornwall. It's the approach down to the ferry. So as the hill goes down, and then there's a sharp bend round, and the ferry goes across to the Roseland Peninsula. Some of you may know it. Some of you may have been on it. Hello, Bree. Oh, sorry, my chat wasn't moving then. Any questions? Just ask away. I'll try and. I think I've set it up so you can engage. Hopefully, so it goes down to the King Harry Ferry, and the cars come up the hill. It's a bit of a narrow in here, so they put like yellow box junction. They don't want people parking in it, and they get people to stop here. Don't know who lives in this house, really. I don't know if I'd want to live there, although it's nice and cute. There's obviously a lot of traffic. The ferry runs all day, every day. But the reason I've chose this is because I quite like the colours. You know, I quite like the idea of the stop sign. So, and I'm on a 7x5 using water soluble at the moment. There's a little gutter drain pipe going down here. Get some windows in. A couple of ways to do the windows. You can either do outlines like this, or you can do the little squares. Little squares in the outlines. I'm going to do some hints of bushes. I'll work on this, develop this greenery a little bit more. Initially, I'm just getting the main lines in. So that I've got the right angles. Let's get this sign in as well. I'll make it a little bit smaller again. I've made it a little bit too big. And just watching the angles. So I'm just checking the angles of this sign. It's not quite lined up. I mean, in the picture, it's more this way. But I've moved it a bit. You can do that when you do these things, because nobody else is going to see that. You can do what you want, really. Yeah, so that will be red, and then I will up some of this orange. Love the fact that there's a cone propping this up. Again, just paying attention a little bit to the angles of this, because it would be easy to get this wrong. So yeah, I've got my curve. I do like a curve, like I said. So I'm going to just get this in. I've left a break because there's a load of greenery that hangs over the curve here. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Right, a bit of rubber than that. Cleaner. So now I just get rid of the pencil. And again, I spoke about this in one of my newsletters. I don't always put pencil down. Sometimes I'll just go in with pen, take a bit more care, take a bit less care. It's all just, it's purposeful, I think is the word I use. It's just do it with purpose. So if you intend to do it with pen, just do it with pen. And if it goes a bit wrong, hey, only you know whether it's wrong or not. Like my window's wrong there. I've got the perspective slightly wrong, so I'm just going to correct it. Look, who cares? I don't. And it's quite good to add a little bit of, error, loosen things up a little bit. Okay, so I've got rid of. Oh, there you go. Look, just smudged that. Not worried about that. So I rubbed a little bit too soon. The ink hadn't even dried, this water-soluble ink. Any questions? No. God, okay. There's a light in. Okay, let's turn this light up a little bit. Now that made any difference. Okay, so pink. Now it's whether I use my newly acquired Graphy tints. This is a swatch I did. It's you'll see me swatching this out on a video in the subscriber area. So it does have, if I want something subtle, it does have this, I think it's called port. It does have this port colour. Here they are, number 1 look, port, which would work. It does have this number 16. Or do I go really radical? So on the photo, I do have a slightly darker porch there. Or do I just go for? I'll just go for something that is a bit wappy. I don't know. Or do I do subtle? Maybe I'll stick with subtle at the moment. Yeah, let's stick with subtle. Just looking at what paints I've got here. So I swatch. Always a good idea to swatch your paints. I do quite like the Quin Magenta. Let's shorten it. I do like the Quin Magenta. Always good to swatch your paints. I've got Opera Rose from the Rosa set here. It's quite a nice colour as well. Quite like that. Yeah, I mean the house isn't that pink, but what do we get? We don't care about that, do we? Stop sign. I can use bright red for the stop sign. I've got to get my burnt sienna on there. Maybe on the roof. Yeah, let's do that. Let's use the Opera Rose. I quite like the Opera Rose. So that's this set here. And I'm not going to get too splashy with this for a change. Not a Fumi, I think. It's worn out now. I don't actually know what number this is. Number 8, maybe. So I'm going to use some Opera Rose. In fact, I haven't even got a clean palette. Might have to do something about that. My palette's a bit mucky. Let's just clean that a little bit. So you can see here, look, it's and that's I'm only using a small sketchbook. I don't really need loads of pigment. I'll probably use that green, so I'm not going to clean that off. I do like metal trays. I find I don't like plastic as much. I like the feel of this enamel. I've got some greys on the other side that I leave in the pan. Just clean one of these larger ones off on this side. Let's clean that one off. This set's got a nice indigo colour in it. Sometimes I'll use Payne's grey, or sometimes I'll mix up my own grey. I'll often use ultramarine, burnt sienna, and a bit of quin magenta, or alizarin crimson. I don't know if I've said that right. Okay. So I have a bit of, and I think I'm going to go wet. Just going to wet this first. So I'll go wet in wet. Get a different brush. Get slightly smaller Fumi. Now you've got to bear in mind that if I touch the lines with the water, it's going to run, which is fine. Yeah, there we go. It adds to the overall effect. Which is why I'm being a little bit more careful with the colour. There's only so much care you can take with this when you've got a phone stuck right in the way. Oh, hang on, let's move over. So this book takes quite a nice amount of water. It's a Sea White of Brighton. No, is it Sea White or Sea? Hang on, I'll never say it right. Sea White, yeah, Sea White of Brighton, not Sea Bright of Whiten. Sea White of Brighton, and it's I think it's 200 grams. Look at that. Yeah, so it's obviously nothing like the sample picked reference photo. That's the word I'm looking for. Nothing like the reference photo. But the paper works really well. It's their watercolor journal, hardback journal series, which I quite like. I've had a couple of these, so I'm quite liking Sea White of Brighton. And I think you see this is going to be green actually, so let's take some of that off. Put pink down here, but actually it's not going to be pink at all. I've just put my head up and looked at the reference photo and realised I don't need pink down there or here. So what I'm doing, I'm just damping down the brush, putting some water on, and then lifting it up. Okay, so and it hardly takes anything really to get where you want to be with this. My screen's just gone off. Hello, Paula. So, any questions? Just feel free to ask in the chat. I'll keep looking up. Anything you want to know? I'm curious. Any? Why I'm doing something a certain way? Might not always be able to answer them questions because sometimes I don't know why I'm doing it this way. Yeah. So, but I'll try. Let's get some water on that roof. And this way, you've got to be careful. I spoke about technique, I think, in one of my newsletters recently. Wet in wet, wet on dry. Um, so I'm just going wet this down a bit to go in with some my favourite colour, burnt sienna, which I'll end up dulling down a little bit because it is too bright. The roof clearly isn't that colour. But I'm going to mix it on the paper. So I'm going to go in with some of this indigo as well. Make a bit of a browny colour, but it'll pick up some of the highlights, some of the sun. Because it's already wet, you get this lovely blending of colours. I'm going to drop some pink in there because actually the side of that house is pink as well. So I'm just going to muddy that a little bit, as is the chimney. I'm only using very small amounts of pigment because it's so small. This this whole space I'm working on. And I don't mind if it gets a little bit messy. In fact, I'm going to just messy it up a little bit because I quite like this pink, so I'm going to just give a little bit of splatter. Any questions? Anyone got any questions? So yeah, I've just got a bit of splatter in there, and I'm just going to blend this in. I might just get out. It's a little bit big. I'm going to get out my little fine. Oh, so these brushes are quite expensive, but I got it for Christmas. It's a Secret Santa. They're silver black velvet. This is the number 6. I think it was about £20. But what I like about this, I heard somebody rave about these. And I like the way they come to a point. I know that's not the primary reason why you buy a brush. It's to do with how much water they can hold and release. But actually, I quite like this one for this type of delicate work here, where you can just use a very tip look. To just push a bit of colour around. Because eventually I'm going to have to let this dry. So you always tend to get shadows under the roof line. So you can see here there's a gutter, but it's also in shadow as well. So always good to Always good to get that. Sometimes I go in really bold with that with the fine liner. Um, Oops, that's a bit bold. So this is like an indigo I'm using straight out of the palette. Sorry, not straight out of the out of a pre-mixed one. I tend to leave the greys mixed up in the palette. While this is all wet, I'm just going to let it all work in there, and I'm purposefully hitting some of these lines uh, to loosen this up. I've also got a shadow down the side of this house, but think I've probably got the perspective slightly wrong here. Oh no, no, I haven't. But I do want to just touch some of these lines with a bit of a wet brush. This is water soluble. These lines. I did that on purpose. So that's the one I have in the Lamy. Um, so sometimes I'll go in with permanent. On this occasion, I went in with water soluble, and I'll probably go over some of these with a fine liner, a permanent fine liner. Okay, so I'm quite liking that at the moment. I'm going to get a little bit of my favourite sky colour, which is cerulean blue. Get that in this other palette, some mixed up over there. A little blob. So I do have nice blue sky, and I'm getting some greenery across the bottom, and then let that all dry and probably go in with some pen. Got my cerulean. Let's get some water on there. So the sky sort of finishes halfway, no, actually on the corner almost. So I'll put some cerulean in there, and I'm sort of allowing the cloud shapes to appear. So you can see the cloud shapes appearing, and then I'll touch that grey line there just to darken this a little bit. Just going to wet these edges. So if you wet the edges, it softens up the line, you see. So I've got very little water on here, and then there's a big bunch there. Um, I'm going to go over the line here, over the edge, because I do want a border effect here. So I've sort of got the clouds coming in. I'm going to use the edge to frame this a little bit. And then if you dampen the brush, clean water, and get some water on these edges, it'll just stop. If you really like doing clouds, this is good practice. And you can put some grey on the underside of the cloud here. So I don't know, you can just put a little bit of grey in here and soften it up a bit with some clean water. Put a little tiny bit of red, just if you've got a little bit of red in there, just to make the cloud a bit more realistic. Okay, so that's that. Right, so I've got wet. It's all pretty wet at the moment. My splatters have dried nicely. I didn't want to touch them. Okay. Have we got anyone want to ask any questions? No questions. Okay, good. So, any new people here? This is This is just it's down in Cornwall. The King Harry Ferry is just down the hill. Here's the reference. So I took the photo, so I don't have to get permission from anyone. But yeah, this is goes down the hill, round the corner to the King Harry Ferry near Trellissick Gardens. Have I tried gouache? I only tend to use gouache white. I have been thinking about getting some, to be honest. Yeah, this is Trellissick Gardens National Trust property, and this is the King Harry Ferry approach road, and the cars queue and stop here. It gets very narrow. This is quite a cute little pink cottage, which I'm pinking up even more. Yeah, I don't use gouache. I'm going to be dabbling in mixed media a little bit, so I'm thinking I might get myself some acrylic and possibly some gouache, but I don't want to. I have to be careful with my money. I don't want to just buy a load of stuff and not use it, but I do intend to. Have a venture into uh, acrylic for mixed media more than anything. So I'm just doing just dampening down this bright red with a little bit of the carmine in my Rosa palette here. Let's get this sign. So this is a bit like colouring in, really. Now this is like wet on dry, because I'm hoping the white marker pens that I use will um, go over the top of this quite nicely. So I'm taking a little bit more care here. Sometimes I do. I know it doesn't always seem that way. So I've got a nice red background to work on there. Hope that answers your question. Or DHD. Okay. Next, I didn't soften all these clouds. It might be too late, but let's have a look. I've got a bit of red up there now. Didn't quite clean my brush well enough. Sometimes it just gets a little bit too late to do that. It gets very warm in this room. Well, I've got a little nice bit of orange as well. So let's just bring out a bit of orange here with my traffic cone. Picked up a bit of the black there. Look, I think that's just quite nice for the detail. And then I'm going to go get some good old sap green on here working. But what I quite like about the reference photo are the flowers. It's always good to have some flowers because it can give you the there you go. Look, it can give you the colour. So I've got some little spots of colour and little hanging baskets, and there's some red flowers on the end there. Don't ask me what they are. Ask Bree. Bree will know. Bree's the flower person here. I'm preferring gouache to watercolour, and I like acrylic too. Enjoying happy accents. Well, they're purposeful accidents, really. They're not accents. I actually obviously put them there on purpose. So that's the whole idea of splattering, isn't it? It makes it look like an accident when really we all know it's not. I don't think anyone's fooled by I don't think anyone's fooled now by accidents, are they, with splattering? It's just an effect to loosen up your picture a little bit. I'm just going to go round them and give this some greenery. This is sap green, and what I tend to do with this, I tend to Might do some layers, get the first layer on, let it dry. Then I might use some Hooker's green or some green with a bit of Payne's grey in it, just to get some um, different shades and tones going. But when you do this mixed media stuff, it's very easy with I've got some pens here, although the greens aren't very good on this pen set, but the watercolor pens, yeah, it's not very good actually. I found this with the greens; they're all a bit leery. So even like the weeds green, if I was to put a pine forest, I'll just show you what I mean. So these pens here, they're just cheap aqua markers from the range. Anyone in the UK will have heard about the range, but you pick them up at all sorts of places. B&M as well. Deco Time, I think the brand is, but they're quite good. I find the greens aren't all that good, but what you can do, I'll show you that. So it's a bit too much of a false green. It probably looks very similar on camera to the sap green, but it's actually more of a neon green, even though it says it's weed green. Don't particularly like the greens, and then this one is really obviously dark. This is pine forest. I struggle with the greens in these sets. There's an apple green which I think is better. So the cap looks really like neon, but actually I think this one, yeah. See, that one wouldn't work at all either in the scene. It would look odd with sap green. So you have to be very careful with the greens. But these pens are pretty good. Greens are got like green sage look. So, but yeah, see that one again. It's just they're just not the right types of greens. They tend to clash with sap green a bit. It's fine for like them red flowers and things. I can easily use colours. Some of them are better than others, see, but the greens, I find the greens quite difficult. The red, so those red flowers, deep red pen, it's not as critical. So, I can put on some red flowers here. And I'll do a little bit more of this as I progress this. There's some purple flowers, some yellow flowers, but they're really good for doing that. Water soluble pens. Okay, I don't know how this is feeling. It's all still a little bit wet. I'm just going to get some. Going to mix up some grey, but make it a little bit more brown. Oh, what I've done there? That's the wrong. Oh, okay, I'm just going to mix up some grey, just to go across the road a little bit. Let's see what this is. So let's get some ultramarine, some burnt sienna, and a bit of in this set carmine. It's called. Tiny bit of red. That's a little bit too blue now, so I'll just get a little bit more burnt sienna. And if you want to try it, that's a mixed grey, and it's gone a little bit it's a little bit browner, which is fine. So I'm just going to wet this a little bit. In fact, I haven't cleaned my brush that well, so that works. And again, I just want to frame this picture a little bit, so I'm just framing it at the bottom, and I'm purposely touching the lines, water-soluble lines. And some of this stuff I'm going to obviously tighten up with a, oops, gone over my cone. I'm going to tighten up with a permanent marker. Bearing in mind, I quite like the yellow curb, the yellow box junction. So I'm going to just make sure I leave some space for that box junction. I'm just softening the edges a little bit here with the grey. Okay. Oh, hello. And there's a question here. What's that? I'll just show you the reference while I look at this. Yeah, sorry, it's not regular, Anne, but if you look on my page, I do put, there's a contents page that I use. I don't know if you use a computer or just the phone on your, the app on your phone, but some iPhones, I think you can see more of the website, the homepage. But if you look on a computer on Substack, you'll see that I have a contents link, and that has some dates of things happening. I do try and do. I've only just started doing these streams, and I'm going to try and do one a week if I can. But I also have a session on Zoom that I've also do regularly. Try and do one a month or maybe two a month sometimes. And the ones that get recorded, so this stream will be recorded by Substack, will be available for subscribers to look at. But most of my stuff is free, so I hope that helps. But yeah, if you look on my page, there's a contents page with links for live stuff. It's not a formal schedule because I only do 2 days work a week, and those days change, so I can't really make it that formal. But yeah, thanks for dropping in. I call these like drop in and drop out sessions. So drop in, have a look, ask questions, see what's going on. If anything takes your fancy, hang around. If it doesn't, drop out again. I quite like that idea, really. And it might become the format I use more. So I can't put links for these type of sessions because Substack doesn't allow it. You just go live basically. But I will try and plan them a little bit more. So I did with this one. I did put it on my page about going live at 3:00. Hope that helps. Anyway, Anne, nice to see you. Okay, so we're not looking too bad. Still a little bit wet, but I'm going to get my little pen out now and see how we can just change the sketch a little bit. So this is a permanent pen. So you see these lines that are on it at the moment, just for those that weren't around, was this. I use this Lamy quite loosely, stuck some loose squiggles in, which is easy to do as well. You can do this after the event like this. Purposefully put stuff in. It makes it look very loose and uncaring. Some people like that. So that's Lamy. That's a water-soluble ink. What ink is that? Yeah, it's a Lamy. It's a Lamy cartridge actually. So the cartridges that came with this pen, the Lamy cartridges or Lamy cartridges are actually water-soluble, and I have a converter for this as well. So sometimes I've used permanent ink in this, but I took that out and put the cartridge in because I thought, well, I might as well use the cartridges. And you get a water-soluble line then. I've used my permanent ink in the food, so if I want to darken anything very like this doorway, for example, I will use my food, and I've purposely put some lines here to make it look like there is it's like a panel door. But this is good. This food pen with a 55-degree tip. I don't know if the picture is good enough against the white background there. You can see it's bent, and that bend is a 55 degrees. So when you're on the paper and you hold your pen up like this, you get maximum flow. I'll show you on my scrap paper here. So when the pen's at 55 degrees, you get maximum flow and you get a nice fat line. And then if you bring the pen up to almost vertical, you get a nice fine line, and you get everything in between, of course. So as you come down, the line gets fatter. If you move too quick with these, you end up the ink can't keep up because it's putting down a lot of ink. So you have to move a little bit slower. But obviously, with the fat line, see there, look, I just lost a bit of the ink flow. This isn't a Sailor pen, Sailor Dumanon. This is a Amazon alternative, but I find it's fine. I want to do any delicate little lines of twigs. Yeah. So, but I put permanent ink in that one. Okay, so what am I doing? Yes, so I'm just going to go and do some titivating. So, for example, I was saying about the shadows under here. This is a place where I might use my permanent, and I'll just go along. Look, not quite getting the thickest line, but again, not following it too carefully. But what it does, it just brings out that contrast a little bit. So when you look at the reference, if you squint your eyes and almost close your eyes, you will pick out the darkest darks. And having contrast in your picture is really important, I think, which is why I'm putting in very bold strokes here, because I want the contrast. There's a drain pipe here, so I'm going to put that in as well. Drain pipe's very black, so I'm just going to go down here. And most of the windows are actually very black. Now, you can do the windows with a slight blue. So if you were mixing up a grey, you might want to make the grey a little bit more bluer with a bit more ultramarine, and you can then paint the square windows. They often reflect, the sky and the blueness of the sky. But on these type of sketches, I will often I probably won't use this actually. It's puts quite a lot of ink down, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my uni pins. Let's just cover that. I don't have a lot of room on this desk. Just close that Rosa palette up. Close that one up. These are my swatches. I always recommend swatching your colours out. Rosa palette, my main palette, which moves around, and I have spaces for new pans if I want to add them. That was just an Amazon buy, and I squirt liquid paint into it, sometimes let them dry. And then obviously my Graphitint pencils, which was a recent find, and I quite like. I'm going to leave it out because I think I'll end up getting some Graphitints on here as well. I do like number 11 here. Look, number 11, which is this one. It's got a bit of green in it, so I will probably end up using that. In fact, get that out now. It's called Ivy. Lovely name, Ivy. So with this, you see what you can do here. Any more questions? No. Um, so what you can do here is just look for the. I mean, this isn't a very dark green, so I'm just going to add a bit of texture in here and then touch a bit of water into it. And my screen's gone off again. Make that a bit bigger. So the other one I'm going to use is number 3, which has got a bit of lavender in it. But what I'm doing here is just putting some marks here, gestures, and then what I'll do is go in with a delicate, a little black brush there. And the good thing about these is you don't have to touch these with water. You can just, there, I'm just putting a few weeds in this corner here. I will make this available in my gallery as well, so people can have a look. And what this does, it just gives you that, and I'll go darker on some of these spaces as well, because like it's always a contrast that brings stuff out. So even if you want to go with, a black section, look, I know people don't like to use black, but actually, what it does, just sort of gently jiggling the pen around a little bit. What black does, it just gives you that contrast, and it's what your eye can draw, what your eye gets drawn to. Like this bush, I mean, I'm not doing the shape of these bushes, they're only gestures really of the shape. I'm not trying to mimic this whole foliage that accurately. I know some people like to do things really accurate, and that's okay. So then what I can do with my Christmas present is just have a little slight damp brush, and I'm going to try and gently just activate some of this graphy tint. And what this will do, it will just stop it looking like a pencil mark, as if I've gone in with colouring pencils, and it'll make it look more like watercolour. And this one works very well, this one I've chosen. That's the whole reason why you swap, because I chose 11, which is called Ivy Graphy Tint. So I chose them because I like the look of that when I'm looking at my picture. I like how that looks. So that's why I chose it. And what it does, so it just gives some depth to some of this shrubbery, which you probably can't see on this stream. But actually, if you want to look at this picture when I finished it, you'll see how it picks up. Just zoom in, and you will see the sap green and the ivy graphy tint working together there. Because when you look at the reference, it's you get all sorts of shades of green and how the light catches it. So sometimes it's nice to mimic that, like I've just done here. I'll show you the reference again. To make this slightly bigger. Oops, no, that's not right. There we go. So, when you look at this up close, you do get quite a lot of contrast here, which obviously makes it look the way it does. So you get slightly different shades of green, with the light catch it. Some are yellow with the way the blooms are changing during the seasons and the different species here. So you do get all these different shades. You can't obviously reproduce that exactly, but if you zoom back out of that and then squint at that scene, so close your eyes and squint at that, and the blacks and the darks will stand out a lot more. Even when you're looking at the greenery, you can see the darks across here, and you pick up on the fact it's got a nice dark spot, dark spot, dark spot, dark, dark, some dark in this bush here, which you transfer that in a way to your picture, to make things. And you can either do it with a dark pen. I could use a graphitint actually. Let's use number what have I got? Number 20. So 20 is midnight black. But of course, it's not black, is it? I mean, that's, although it's called midnight black, number 20. It's a shade of grey, really. Whereas obviously the permanent markers are a lot darker. But yeah, it's good to just mix it up a little bit. So I'm just picking out some of these dark patches. What that will do, it will really bring the sort of foliage in the plants. It'll really bring it out, bring it to the front almost. I'm just softening them up, you see, with the water where I've put the graphitint on. And I could use these watercolor pencils as well. Look, sorry, these watercolor pens. So that these will do the same job. I'm just going to check it before I do this. So this is a green grey 7, so it's quite a dark. Well, it's not actually that dark. Should be quite a dark one, but yeah, you can. These don't move as well as the pencils, and this paper isn't very good. But yeah, they are water soluble, as you can see. I'm sort of washing it away there. But yeah, you can use this to put some darks in as well. Look, there you go. I'm just touching some darks in. It sort of has the same effect, but it's not quite black. So it's all sorts of things, which is why I love. That's a green grey 7. Which is why I love having all this stuff. I don't think my wife will agree. Sometimes she thinks I buy too much. Why do you need all them pencils? Why do you need all that paint? Any more questions from anyone watching? Don't know. I think I can see Anne's message, just the last one. Right, let's get back to what I was doing. So I'm going to go. Let's get some windows in. So I've got what have I got here? 6. This just gives me a bit of detail now, you see. I was saying before, you can use. I mean, it would be very hard with a paintbrush to do something as detailed as this. And some people like to do detail, or some like to do more gestural and loose, and that's entirely up to you what you want to do. But I think this calls for a little bit of detail, so detail it's going to get. Obviously, these are further away, so you have to make these a little bit smaller and a little bit more intricate, delicate. Always good with windows as well is to you'll notice you get a frame under the sill, and this just makes windows pop a little bit, even over the top, sometimes down the edge. You want to be a bit lighter. If it's a recessed window, look, this is where I went wrong earlier, but I don't care about that. How many I've got here? So I've got two, same again, two rows of, so the panes are slightly bigger on this bottom one. I quite like this about doing detail. This is the fun bit because actually it's quite therapeutic. Some people will not say that. Some people will say it's not. But you see, straight away um, that's made the whole thing just pop a little bit. Oh, there's a window on the side here, so let's just do a subtle window. There's a little drain pipe. I'm going to come down here with the drain pipe. I'm just going over these a little bit just to bring them out, stand them out a little bit from. So you might not see this so well, but like I say, if you have a look when I put this online, now these windows have blinds down, but I don't like that, so I'm going to change the look. No more questions. Hi to the new joiners. Um, so I've been going just over an hour. I've been talking a lot. I hope you don't mind. And what I do, I just sort of titivate now. Really, like I notice across the top, there's obviously ridge tiles. So I'm just doing a second line there. They're actually in red, so I might go across with a red marker. Sometimes I do a hint of the tiles, a suggestion of tiles here by just gently, just gently putting some lines, and then get the verticals in. So ever so gently, you might not be able to see this, but you can, like I say, and again, you can be more accurate if you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with just painting in every tile if you want. I mean, it's your drawing, you do what you like. This is how, obviously my drawings look this way, because sometimes I have the patience to do that. I don't quite know where this path goes. Um, I think it goes off down there. Sometimes I have the patience to do that, and sometimes I don't. There's a lot of shadow under this sign, and there's a big stone there actually, so I like that. I like that idea. So I'm going to put this stone in. Stones, I love doing stones. Some people like to do stones, and I'm one of them, because um, you can use all those lovely colours, which my favourite one is burnt sienna, of course. And that's a great colour for stones. Even though this stone is a bit grey, it gives you the opportunity to pop in a bit of burnt sienna. And then it's in shadow. So once this dries, I'm just going to go dark with this. Go dark with this here. Has anyone got any questions? I just need to decide what I'm doing with these windows. So I think what I'm going to do. Oh, I know what I do. I have. Don't really use these a lot, but I do have some grey. If I can find them. My desk is a mess. Where are they? Just looking. I had them out this morning as well. Where the heck have I put them? Oh, here they are. Right. I have some grey uni pins, which I haven't really used much. I have a dark grey and a light grey. And I have some brown as well. So these are permanent. I think I bought these in a set. So they came with a 0.1, a 0.5, a 0.1, a 0.5, 0.1, and 0.5. Light grey, dark grey, and brown. So, did you see them? Light grey, dark grey, and brown. So let's try. Let's try the light grey 0.1, and because I do have, and you can see there's hardly anything showing here. So I might go over these, but I'm just going to see what this comes out like first. And because they're close to this camera, these panes are slightly bigger. I probably need to go over these a bit darker. So yeah, I'm going to try the darker grey. And these are they don't actually have the, oh yeah, dark grey. I think this one might dry up. It's never been used. With these, I try, if I want to revive them, I've got a little bit of alcohol, IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and I touch the end in. Sometimes that's enough just to clear whatever gunk. Where's this one gone? Let's try the 0.5. 0.5 is working. I think this is coming back to life. Probably get away with the 0.5, to be honest. But let's carry on with this. Yeah, the dark grey works a little bit better. Yeah, this is coming back to life. So the alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, did its job. Slightly dried up because it doesn't get used much, but I sort of know that I know it's there. And for this sort of thing, it's ideal because when you look at the reference picture, you'll see what I mean. So I'll just show. I'll spin that around again. Okay, you see your order. You see these panes are they've got blind on. Blind's half down on this one, but I'm just using a slightly different shade. I mean, I could just use black as well, but so I'm guessing if you like what you see, by all means subscribe. I'm not sure if I put this for subscribers only or for everyone. I can't remember how I set this up. It's in the settings on your account. But this will get put in an area for paid subscribers, members. I have a couple now, few. So you can watch this back, skip through it. I think you can skip through. And again, if you go to my contents link, it's all on there. There's a section that says paid subscribers where I'll be putting these videos for them to watch back. So there you go. They're sort of slightly different coloured uni pins. What I'm going to do is just make these ones a little bit bolder. I have quite a lot of fine marker pens, fine liner pens. I found a set on Facebook Marketplace that came with a whole bunch of stuff. I did a little video about it on YouTube. They were Staedtler. That's here. Look, sometimes these come out. Pigment liners. These are good. They've got a wide, all the sizes ranging from 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, 1.2, and a brush. Oh, and a really fine one there. Look. So I think I've said before, I don't find much difference between these Sakura pig microns and something like this, a Staedtler pigment liner. There's not much going on different here really. They all use a similar design on the tip. I used to want to try them, but now it's like they're all much the much. Probably shouldn't say that. Sure, Sakura don't want to hear that. But, I just switched to this Staedtler, and there isn't much difference really. So what I've just done this hint suggestion of tiles, and I'm going to do the same across the top. So the way I did that, I just gently, hardly at all, just touched the pen. I'm not going all the way across even, I'm just do them at this edge, I think, and put some little suggestion marks of tiles. What else can I do on here? It's coming along, isn't it? Got some nice brick red. Let's just see how this works. This is one of those aqua markers. It's quite dark, that one. Wine red. What else have we got? It's old red. That's not too bad, is it? Just to drop a little bit in here, look. I'm going to use the other end. And then I'm going to just see what happens with a little bit of water. Again, with my little, what this does, it just takes the edge off. Yeah, that's ideal. And sometimes when you're doing pictures like this, with this delicacy, you do want the difference just between doing the pen and then just taking the edge off with the water. That's the good thing about these. So that worked really well, that one. And so out of out of all them, I showed you the greens earlier. Out of them, this wine red. Sorry, was it that one or was it old red? I can't remember now. Yeah, I think it might have been old red. Look. Yeah, it was this one. Sorry, this old red just came through. It's exactly what I wanted. And that's the good thing about all this mixed media stuff. You can just, it's just there when you want it. And then I didn't quite like. I'm just going to just darken this a little bit. So I have got a little a wobbly roof line, which is what I wanted. And what that does, it just adds to the sort of charm, I think, of the drawing. Obviously here, got a wobbly roof line. And you can do that after the event. I've got some smudges coming in, which is, again, good. It sort of highlights a little looseness to doing this type of work. I've got some shadow down here. And again, if you want more accuracy, you can sort of you can do some hatching with some pens. I'm barely touching this on the paper. You might just be able to hear the scraping. But this is quite a dark area, and I haven't gone dark enough really on this gable of this house. I don't want to make it too dark because I've got some different colours going on there. It's these little things, like putting a little bit more black there at that edge. Just brings out that whole chimney stack a little bit. Just sort of, if you want to, cracks are always good. Just to bring up that roof line a bit, let's just show you what I mean. This house actually isn't cracked, but if you want to introduce a crack, just windows always good for the odd crack. There we go. Look, I've just knocked a few £1,000s off this house by putting a few cracks in it. My God, imagine. So, and again, this is your prerogative to do this as an artist. You can do this. I don't think the owner can come up to me and hold me to account for the cracks in the windows that I've just introduced. Any questions? Hope so. I've sort of finished with the bulk of this. So, what I like to do, I'm just going to unveil. I'm just going to take the tape off. I've been streaming quite a while now, so I'm I'm just going to heat this tape up a little bit. So I apologise for the noise. I apologise for that, but sometimes if you don't do that, the danger is you'll take the top layer off your paper. I've done it, and I found this little trick. You just warm up the glue, particularly if your tape's good. If your tape's rubbish, of course, with not very much glue on it, you won't have a problem. But what that does, you see, it just makes for the picture really nice. So, yeah, a little bit of a top tip there. I'll just zoom out a little bit, just to warm up the tape before you peel it off, and then you don't. So you see what I did there with the tape. I was saying earlier how I like to have a frame. So I've got this nice frame the sky on purpose. Yeah, this is sort of nearly done. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to see how this white. I want the yellow. Box junction in here. I do like yellow lines and things. I'm going to focus more on a little bit of colour in here. Maybe bring out the pink a little bit more in the porch. And let's get some white. Let's see how this. So I'm using a jelly roll here. Hi, over by Art, Minnesota. How are you doing? Thanks for following. I know you comment and like my posts, so hello to you. Thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, just fire away. I'll see if I can answer them. I'm actually going to try and get this so it's readable. This sign. I'll just show you there's the reference picture. I've stopped showing reference pictures. Sorry about this. I've stopped showing reference pictures because I seem to remember in the early days I asked people, what do you think? Should you put a reference picture up? And somebody made a very good point about I can't remember who it was now, about the fact that, people like your art because they like it for what it is. And sorry, this pen's just stopped. Why? Normally that doesn't have a problem. Yeah, they like it for what it is, not to compare it really. So I've stopped doing it now for that reason, because it's like, well, it's a nice picture, it's not there to to win accuracy. Um, it's my interpretation of what I see in front of me, and it'll always be my interpretation. So I've stopped doing it. So, for that reason, and I'm just writing the word stop. Is that a coincidence or not? I don't know. Sometimes these pens, they sometimes flow well and sometimes they don't. I have 3 sizes. I have, this is it's a 5, that's why. I normally use the 10. I've picked up the smaller one. Where the hell's the 10? Oh, there's a 10. So I have a 10, an 8 and a 5. No wonder, it's because the 5 doesn't get used much. I probably want the 5 now. You watch, I'll make a mess of it now. You have to have a steady hand with this. Stop. So this is where the cars come down and they, I don't think I'm gonna try and get this written in no waiting no waiting in stop zone, in hatch zone. So I'm gonna cheat here and go, you of course can read that. Okay, so that's that. Um, I'm quite liking it. I'm glad I chose this picture to do. I have so many pictures on my computer. When I'm out and about in Cornwall, things jump out at me and I just take a picture. If I'm not drawing them there and then, I take a picture and use them later on. Love it. Love it. So always have your camera or your phone with you. Okay, so not much to go on this really. I've got a dirty old tissue there for the watercolour. So I love the yellow lines. So what am I going to use for yellow lines? Use my watercolour pens. And there's one in particular. I think it's the one that boxes you because it says yellow, but it actually looks orange. So that's that one. 34 yellow, but look at that. How can that be described as yellow? But I'll test it. And then there's a fresh yellow. I'm going to try these out. Fresh yellow and a. Oh, it's one of them that I use. Let's have a look. So I just having some water. So yeah, I have this little scrapbook next to me. So I'm pretty sure it's this yellow that masquerades as an orange or an orange. Oh no, maybe not. That is more of a, but that says yellow on it. That's more of an orange. Maybe it's this one, fresh yellow. Yeah, that's the one. Fresh yellow 44. That's what I'm looking for. So put that one back. Yeah, so I go with the fine nib, and I'm going down first, then round from the doorway. Down and around the corner, and then I'm coming out. Let's just check my angle on the screen. Coming out like that in the road. I'm going to match it up to the. And then it peters away a little bit. It actually goes across the road. It's a box junction. Don't know if you have them overseas. But this is, in this country, in the UK, you shouldn't really stop in these yellow hatched areas if the road ahead isn't clear. Can you tell I used to be a driving instructor? So this box junction, the lines need improving because they're very faded around the corner. I'm just going to put some grey down here as well, just to show the road how it continues down in the background. Let's find my grey, find my dirty tissue again. Any more questions? I keep asking if anyone's got any questions or you want to say anything, or feel free. Honestly, I don't bite. Was that the mix I used earlier? I think it was. I hope it is. So I'm just going to put this grey down just to sort of show the road is. Oh, I've got to be careful. I want my border, don't I? Mustn't forget the border. And see, if I go on this yellow, it'll just dissolve a little bit, which is good because it will look like it's faded on the road as well. So it's all just little tricks and tips. Okay, so that's that. I mean, there is a house in the background and there's some greenery there. I might just put a subtle hint of green with my. Make sure I've got the right one. 11 ivy. Let's have a look. So my graphy tint swatch is always good. 11. No, I might go with a 9 actually. It's a little bit darker and it's in shadow. Very dark tone. I could really go dark with that. So this is called, what's this one? Oh, green grey. Green grey, number 9. So I'm just going to, for the skyline here, because there is trees over the other side, just going to drop a tiny little bit, the lightest of. It's a pencil. So these graphy tints, I did a little video with these swatching. They have graphite in them with colour, and they act like a pencil, but you can also use them like watercolour pencil. You can put them on directly there. See, that'll blend into the water that I've just put down. So it's just a subtle hint of something going on there, which is what I wanted. Damp, clean brush. Don't want to ruin my border. And I've got my grey in here because the roadway goes round this corner. And it sort of frames a picture nicely. Again, I've got some up here. So actually, in true balance, I'm going to just put some up here, because behind this cottage is a load of trees. There's a bit of a murky grey in there. I've just hit the just hit that line on purpose, just to mess it all up a little bit. And what that's doing, it's just giving a bit of balance what I did down here, just up here, you see. And this composition trick I learned from Sophia Rodionoff. So thank you very much, Sophia, because she's a professional, fully trained, qualified artist with 20 odd years experience. And I took a 3-hour session with her. I booked on another one actually. And so that was some good feedback. Some good feedback from her. See, with these, with it wet, you can sort of do some gestural marks here. Look. Okay, right. Lovely. So, um, who we got watching? Oh, everyone's still here. I'm surprised. Nobody's dropped out. It's a drop in, drop out. I don't mind if you drop out, honestly. But yeah, I'm not going to go for much longer because I'm sort of really quite happy with how this has gone. The whole live experience, the whole sketch, how it's all come about and gone how I wanted it to, and the end result I'm quite liking. I've got all my different things I've been using here, different pens. There's all sorts of things you can do. You can fiddle with these for as long as you want with this type of work. With watercolor, if you weren't if you weren't using pen and wash and mixed media and stuff, there comes a point when you can do too much, and you can do too much on these. But really, because I've gone for a more detailed look, then all I'm doing is um, adding more detail. Really, it's like I don't have anything going on with the curb, so let's get some let's get some little curbstones in. The other thing I wanted to do was just to any questions, fire away. I was just going to liven up some of these, liven up all the plants from the sample. So I'm going to use these because they're really good for this. Bright red, some purple, bright orange, and some bright yellow. Because I've got all these colours now. Some of these are going to show up better than others. I use the firm end for this, like the nib. The fine end. Sorry, yeah. What this does, it just brings a little detail to the front. It's got some lovely purple in this picture. This might not be deep enough. Oh, don't want that one. I want the fine end. I've got my splatter. I've left the hanging baskets out. Let's just put a little bit of lilac there, and I'll put a bit of black in for that. Um, I mean, you can do what you want here, really. I'm trying to stay true a little bit to the reference, which I'll show you in a minute. But actually, um, it doesn't matter what you do here. There's some red flowers sticking out around the corner here, with a bit of orange coming in there. I'll show you this. I'll show you the reference again. This, you won't see this really anymore. Yeah, there's a whole blaze of colour in this little picture, like reds and oranges, and there's some hanging baskets there. Um, there's reds and yellows and oranges and some lilac and purple. So this is just the fun bit, isn't it, of just finishing off. Just making things pop a little bit. There's my hanging baskets. Here's some sort of little alarm or whatever that is. I'm sort of getting towards finishing this. I want just some darker darks in the bush here. Let's get some darker darks. Let's get some of these little God, there's a whole load of moss growing out of this corner here. Got to get that in. Love that detail there. I've got a plant coming up here, like some sort of climber with any questions? Any questions? No questions. You're all very respectful, aren't you? I don't know if that's the right word, really, but yeah. So there's some moss. What number 11? Ivy. Look, there's a little lovely bit of moss sticking out this, growing out of this corner here, which I'm just going to activate with a bit of water. And sometimes you can just go a bit mad with the detail. But there's a cute little cottage there. Like I said, with these pens, you don't actually have to. You don't have to activate them. You can just use them as pencils, like this. You see, there's a few things sticking up here and there out of this foliage, wildflowers. Yeah. Okay. And there's all this, greenery down here on the curb. I love this. I love doing things like this. And this is where these graphy tints come into their own, really, because like, look at this. You can just scoot along there like that, and yeah, look, activate that. It's just amazing. It's like, I really love these. What a great buy. But yeah, when you zoom into this, when I show you this, zoom in. But yeah, you can just activate them, and this is the swatch for those that are new. This is the swatch, the graphy tint swatch that I did. The video is available in the paid area. Right, I don't use paywalls a lot, but I've started to do the odd paywall. So this video will be available behind the paywall. Yeah, so really liking these pencils, and I hope I'm gonna wrap this up in a few minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed that couple of hours that's taken. All I'm doing really is just looking around the picture now and just seeing, if there's anything I can add that improves any darks that I've missed. Um, Anything that I don't like that I want to improve or change. But I think I quite like that. So let me just take this off and show you guys a bit of a close up. So that's my setup. Look, I just have this boom. boom that sits in front of me, and that's what I've been following. And here's the finished result. So this is my 8x5, I think. Let me just see. Yeah, 8" by 5.5" Sea White Brighton, and it's got 200 gram paper, so it's just good enough. It doesn't come through. Ideal for this sort of thing. Lovely little cute sketches in a loose style. You can see I started off with pencil lines which are rubbed out. Went in with a Lamy fountain pen with water-soluble Lamy ink in it. So I did that on purpose. Read one of my posts about that. One of my techniques posts, I talk about purposeful doing, choosing how you want to do this stuff and then doing it on purpose, and just stick with it, and then do another one differently. It's just a way to improve your skills, really. So that was that. I touched the lines on purpose because I wanted to get this smudging effect. Emphasise the pink more than I needed to because the reference photo is quite a subtle pink. But what I liked about this picture, the composition wise, I quite like. I don't actually know. I don't. I mean, the angles. There is all this thing about leading lines in composition, but it's sort of. I think the stop sign, although it's horrible, and it's got a stone and a cone, and I think it's just all a little bit fun in the picture. So this is Trelisic. This is the road that goes down to the King Harry Ferry in Cornwall, and it's near Trelisic Gardens, a National Trust property. And the ferry, I think the ferry's in my gallery of sketches. If you want to have a look, it's a great big blue ferry that gets dragged across the river by a chain. And this is where the cars queue, basically, at this little pink cottage. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Here's the desk. I've used a few of these pens that I don't use much. Some jelly rolls for the white sign. Some of these cheap aqua markers from Deco Time from the range. My Graphy tints, which were not cheap. They've had a little bit of an outing today. So 3 of them. What have I used? Midnight Black, Green Grey and Ivy. Obviously I'm not precious about which micron pens I use, but there's the Staedtler. These are permanent. That's this water soluble, and even the food. I think the food I did a couple of strokes down on the door with. And then I've got my Rosa pans here, Rosa Gallery pans. Fumi, that's F. They're all worn off. FUUMUUI, I think. I think they're quite good, these brushes. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I have a set of them. Fumi, but I also like this one. This was a Christmas present. So this is a Silver Black Velvet 6. They're quite expensive, but I like it because of the point look, and you can get nicely in. So I've used that as well to give some shadow under the roof line there. Yeah, what did I use over here? I mixed up a bit of grey. I think that's all I used over there. Mixed up a bit of grey to get this grey here on the road. Yeah, there you go. So thank you all for listening in. I'll just switch over my camera. This is me. Thanks for joining, Frankie. Thank you, Frankie. Great sketchbook. Yeah, this is these sketchbooks are nice. I do like these. I'm sure they're available around the world, but it's a little Sea White of Brighton. This is the landscape version, 8x5. This will be going on a sketchbook tour soon because this is nearly finished. So I've sort of filled this one up with a lot of these sketches are on my gallery. I've sort of filled this up with a lot of similar type things. I kept it the same. There's a lot of these are places in Cornwall. That's Port Lemon double page spread there. That was I did most of that sat out plein air. Again, this one was sat out plein air, Porthcurno. This one wasn't. That one wasn't. That was from a unsplash photo. Yeah, so this is actually nearly finished, and this is I'll actually mark this up down here, since I've done that. So I've literally got one page left, and then I'm at the end. So perhaps I'll do another live sketch next week or this week maybe. I'll put it on my contents if I'm going live again to finish off this page, basically find something else and do another to a sketch there. So I hope you enjoyed that. This video will be available for any paying subscribers. It'll be sat behind the paywall, the full 2 hours of it. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, and hope to see you all again soon. Bye bye for now.